The brain just floats there, and ricochets back and forth in his head. If his seat would have been upright.
In high school, I liked to play football and do track and study biology.
In 2004, he suffered a near fatal car wreck, which he suffered a brain injury. Pretty much ended his dreams and our dreams, and now our new dreams are getting him back to somewhat functional. About midnight, it really started hitting home. Something was really wrong, because normally he'd call. So I went back home and got the wife. I got my second oldest son up, and he stayed up with his brothers. Told him to call my cell phone if Jimmy come home. We filled up and we drove to Oakley. And going over there, I just had this gut feeling, and my wife can tell you that I started crying because I had this gut feeling my son was dead. When we got to the emergency room and we walked in, I kind of scooted my wife over to the waiting room. I went into the emergency room, and nothing really had to be said about his prognosis. With my training as an EMT, he had enough textbook signs and symptoms that I already knew the prognosis wasn't good. We were already looking at 6+ hours out in sub-freezing temperatures. He was already posturing, which is a classic sign of a brain injury. His pupils were pinpoint. He was combative, fighting. His left arm was drawn up really tight. I'd done all I could with his right arm to keep it straight and get his class ring off his finger because it was swollen. And really nothing had to be said. We already knew he was fighting the clock because the golden hour had already passed.
When I was in the hospital, I can only remember parts of it. But I remember some people coming by. I had some friends who came and visited me in the hospital, but after a while, they quit coming to visit me. When they stopped coming and visiting, made me feel this tall. I was different than all of my friends. When I played football, I was a wide receiver, but I remember this one game that I caught a touchdown. I don't remember what led to my crash, but I remember some. It was, I swerved to miss a deer on a county road. I used to drive with my seat in the down position.
The kids in the small town drove with their seat in the laid back position, like they're driving in the back seat, because that was the fad for all the kids. That was the in thing. I was lucky enough to be a part-time police officer that pretty much all the kids, I would stop and have them raise their seat up because the seat and the seat belt work together. The lap belt keeps you in place, and then the shoulder belt keeps you against the back. Well, when they're reclined backwards, they're staying in the seat, but then they're sliding around, which, like with Jimmy, his accident had tremendous energy in the car. His body absorbed it, and the brain just floats there, and it ricocheted back and forth in his head. Since Jimmy's accident, the biggest reality is my son's dreams have had to be revamped. My dreams for him has had to be revamped. Our family's way of life has changed 180 degrees. What we knew as family life before his accident we can't do the same things. At the time of his accident, my wife was an assistant manager for a big chain retail store. We had some complications. In a nutshell, she lost her job because they wanted her to come back to work and he was still in the hospital. We both decided as a mother and a father, one of us needed to be there with him or he wasn't going to pull out of this. The original bill for him being in ICU and everything was, $780 some thousand. It's well worth it. I got my son. So it's been very stressful. But we're still plugging away. Everywhere me and mom goes, he's with us. Will he ever be on his own? That's my goal. If not, there'll always be a room at my house for my kids. One of the gentlemen that was working with Jimmy asked me one day, what if your son doesn't get better? Well, why am I doing this? And I told him, I can live with that because my son's alive today. You can't put a dollar value on my children.
Today I'm going to college and taking one class, adaptive technology, and I'm also bowling.
His long-term memory is outstanding. Short-term, you give him a couple days and he'll remember this. You ask him later today about this, he won't remember it. They believe that the cold kept the swelling in his brain down. He had bleeding in 4 different spots of his brain. He had blood in the ventricles and he had some bleeding in the brainstem. But the cold kept the swelling down, so when he got to the ER, that's when the brain started to swell. He had a seizure in April of '05 that up to that point when he got out of the hospital, my son was able to walk full lengths around a gym, stopping and catching his own balance with 2 people standing beside him. After the seizure, it erased everything. We went back to, he was in worse shape than what he was before he got out of the hospital.
This is bracelet. It means live strong, which means also I can overcome anything that what's the word? Yeah, which means life has handed me.